It's so strange, the things that have become these bizarre political issues. Hydroxychloroquine is a great example. The masks are a great example. I mean, Glenn, we can go back to January and February when you were on the air talking about, hey, guys, like, why do doctors wear masks if they don't work, right? And
this is when the government
is like,
was telling us.
No, they don't do anything. It's actually going to make it worse. And they went through this whole thing, and we all sat here going, that's obviously not right? We all understand that that's not right. And then the government decided to say, oh, now you do have to wear masks all the time. And now a lot of people are saying, well, no, I will never wear a mask because the government told me to wear it. The government shouldn't be mandating these things. Your standard of proof as the government to mandate a safety measure should be incredibly high. I mean, I don't even know if there is a level that I'm comfortable with, but even if you're a normal, crazy person, right, this should not be something that should happen unless you have massively high standard of evidence. And for masks, there's some evidence that shows that they're helpful. There's no evidence that shows that they're universally a cure, which is the way the media now treats them because Donald Trump didn't wear a mask a few times. So you have to take the opposite position of it. And the other thing is, like, as a personal safety measure, your standard of evidence for help should be low, right? If you think there's a chance that it will work and it's not really going to inconvenience you, you probably should wear one. However, the government should never be mandating something like this with the level of evidence they have for something like that. And these things become the same thing with hydroxychloroquine. Like to say the media has to take this stance because Donald Trump mentioned it. The media has to take this stance that does absolutely no good for anyone. And so they only highlight the studies that show that there's not all that much help from hydroxychloroquine, though there are studies that do show there is help for certain people. So why wouldn't we instead try to take this on an individual level with our doctors who say, okay, I believe this will help you, try it, instead of this insane culture war thing that we're doing? Don't we just want to not have people get sick and die? Isn't that supposedly our entire...
No, I don't think so.
It's not even a uniting thing, Glenn. That's insanity.
Yeah, I really don't think that is the goal of many people in power. I really don't. I think their goal is to divide, destroy and divide. And they'll use anything in their power. Look, this happened with the mask because the federal government and those in the progressive or Marxist world, they don't believe in people. They don't believe in Americans. They believe Americans are greedy and white and therefore bad. And so what did they do? When they needed the masks at the hospital, they told you a lie. They told you that they don't work. That was a lie. I told you that was a lie. Why, if they don't work, why are they rushing them to the hospitals? Of course they work. They're lying to you. They don't believe you'll do the right thing. Instead, the federal government should have said, look, America, we need all the masks we can get. This is the front line. Please, if you have masks, if you can find masks, send them to us. And we would have. And then when they would have had, masks for everybody in the hospitals, which they do now, then they can come out and say, okay, masks are available for everybody. Thank you for those who, did help. No thanks to those who didn't help. But, hey, it's America. You can be a jerk if you want. And that's what they should have done. The same thing with the quarantine. Nobody should be telling you what to do. Why do you think that the virus is spreading? It's spreading because it generally doesn't hit the youth. So who's at the bars on a Friday night? Do you think it's a bunch of 50-year-olds? We're also tired that we're not going out on 2 o'clock at the bar scene, okay, unless we're alcoholics.
And I would say, too, Glenn, not a lot of Republican voters out there at the bars at 23 years old. That group is voting about 90% Democrat, and yet red states are the ones getting blamed for the spread of the disease.
Correct. So you have these red state voters who are all in colleges, and they're all off of college, and they're all going to the bar and the club scene, and they're all hooking up. What do you think? And why is that happening? Because they know it doesn't affect, generally speaking, them. they have an easier time of getting through it. And so people make the judgment, I'm going to get through it, especially if you've never been asked to not be selfish your entire life. When you have never been told that there is something great about this country, that we all rise to the highest level. When we are in trouble, we all answer the call. If you've never been taught that, if you've never been asked to do that, it's always about you, and what you want, and your little baby cry rooms and everything else. What do you think they're going to do? Help? No, they're not going to help. They're going to lecture, they're going to protest, and they'll point the finger, but they're not going to help. And why are they going out? Because they've never been told they couldn't do. They've never been told they couldn't do anything. They've never been told about shared sacrifice, unless it's a Marxist telling them that. And the Marxists aren't telling them that because the Marxists are now trying to bring everybody together in chaos. And what is all of this doing? Creating more chaos and more division. And what are we doing? We're staying at home because of a virus that, I'm sorry, these things have happened since man was on the earth. It's been happening through men, it's been happening through the animal kingdom, and it's going to happen again. And yes, we should do everything we can, but we should not tube the Western way of life for this. We shouldn't tube it. We should be protecting the most vulnerable. The people who are most likely to have this, to get this, have compromised immune systems, are elderly, etc., etc. But the youth, they're out in the bars. Why? Because they don't care if they get sick, because they're most likely not going to die. So why are we quarantining everyone when we should be quarantining just the people who are the most likely to get sick? I'll tell you why. We're not opening schools because look at the demands of the school unions, the teachers' unions. They're asking for redistribution of wealth. They're asking to teach Black Lives Matter nonsense. They are on a Marxist rampage. And the longer we don't return to who we are, the less likely it will be that we'll even recognize what reality is when we do come back. If we come back.